welcome to this week's Industry Spotlight. This is episode 14. Today we're going to discuss Google bringing hotel ads into the platform, into the new ads platform. Instagram starting to roll out very slowly, verified accounts. Google bringing job search into the SERPs, and the huge fine that Google have just been slapped with from the EU.
So last week at the Google Marketing Live Summit, it was announced that there's going to be a new ad format that's added to the new Google Ads platform. And what it is basically you're able to bid on hotel inventory now, whereas before in the SERPs, obviously you're only able to show for organic listings. So yeah, you're going to be able to submit all your hotel inventory, your dates, your pricing, availability, all that kind of thing. You'll need 3 different feeds in order to be able to show for, and you're going to be able to buy traffic on a CPC basis, just like you would any other ad format. I think there's a couple of other different bid models that you can operate with it, but yeah, it's a little bit like the old Google local inventory ads, if anybody remembers them. So it's going to work in a similar way, but obviously you get to select your dates and your pricing and view it on the map, try and figure out where it is if it's in your locality. So I think you'll start to see a lot more of that coming through over the coming weeks. It'll be interesting to see how it performs versus other text ads. As always, it's always interesting to use new ad formats.
How's that going to work with hooking into booking engines and stuff? Does that mean like Booking.com, for example, would be willing to promote your hotel, but they'd have to submit all the details?
I'm guessing so, yeah. So it might cause a little bit of competition between those aggregators and stuff. Whether the hotels will just do it themselves. I'm guessing it is primarily for like your Bookings.com that have got access to the full network and inventory of that kind of thing. So they'll just have massive feeds.
I wonder what happens then if the same hotel has been submitted twice in 2 different feeds, 2 different providers or aggregators.
Yeah, well, I guess they'll have different pricing, won't they, for what they want to show for it. It might be that it might be that now if you can select like a listing on Google, it'll just populate with the different aggregators and their pricing. I guess if you're the cheapest one or you offer the best prices, for example, you'll get the deal.
Interesting.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a bit of a tricky setup, though. I think you've got to be a bit of a big time advertiser to get that all sorted and get it all lined up. If you imagine trying to, like a Trivago or Hotels or Booking.com, something like that, trying to get all that together, piece all that together, it does sound like it'll be carnage to get set up.
I wonder if they'll layer it into the flights and then make a Google Holidays.
Yeah, it might end up going that way, to be honest.
Package holidays from Google.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of other people that have had the organic listings there get pushed out. I don't think they'll be very impressed by it though.
Okay, so we're going to touch on Instagram starting to slowly allow users to apply for verified accounts. Some pretty staggering stats coming out about people having to purchase verified accounts for up to $15,000, which I find hard to believe, just to get a little blue tick next to your name.
Did you go on Love Island?
So this is something that they're looking to do slowly, only in Australia for the moment. I don't know how they're going to monitor it, but I think this has come off the back of Facebook's privacy issues over the last couple of months. And they're trying to level the playing field a little bit, because I think typically it's given to celebrities and athletes and stuff like that. I think that they're trying to allow normal people to get the verified accounts without having to pay through the nose for them. Again, I think it just ties in with Facebook coming under scrutiny for security issues and stuff like that. It's just another source of trust in it. So yeah, pretty standard.
Cool. Does the tick on Instagram apply to Facebook as well at the same time, considering it's the same network? Or is it 2 totally different things?
I think it's independent per platform. I don't think you can be verified on Instagram and automatically be verified on Facebook.
But yeah, if you've got a tick on one and you go, can I have it on that one please? They go, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I still can't believe that someone's paid 15 grand for a verified.
Just a bribe.
Yeah. Find that hard to believe, but hey ho. So the third thing we're going to talk about is Google introducing job search listings directly into the search results. This is something that's been rumoured for a long time. This is something that I think rolled out in America. But basically Google are now showing, or now have their own little ecosystem for jobs. So you type in PHP developer in Leeds, for example, and it will bring up a load of job listings from a lot of relevant sources. They're partnered with all the big guys, so Reed, Guardian, Haymarket, Total Jobs. The only one real big player that they haven't managed to get on board yet is Indeed. I suspect because Indeed have got their own paid ad platform that they use that is self-serve, that they allow companies to advertise through. So I think if they move to this, it'll take a big hit for their revenue from the ad platform that they've got. Google are touting this as sort of backed by search, so bringing things like maps data to allow you to search by commute distance from home and things like that, which I think is pretty cool. And they've also said that it's not yet a paid platform, which means that it will be a paid platform at some point. So these bigger recruiters, like your Indeeds that aren't yet on here, are probably frantically trying to figure out how to get a good deal out of it. I'm sure they're talking to Google in some way.
So where does the product list, where does the job listing go to? Is it just deep link to the listing on site?
Well, yeah, you can go to the site that's advertised it, but you can do pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Read everything about the results, and you can save them. So if you're logged in, you can create a bank of ones that you want to apply for, and just then go back in and figure them all out.
I guess it's a user experience thing as well, isn't it? You've got like Indeed, they'll want their own user experience people they'll have call to actions, no doubt, all over the website. So that's probably why they don't want to be part of that. I'm sure there's more reasons as well, and they're probably waiting for the moment where Google start to monetize it as well to jump on that, because they do a lot of PPC anyway, don't they?
It is a better user experience, in my opinion. I think that's nicer than going to a Indeed or anywhere else, really.
You can't see a lot of actual jobs considering how high-res your screen is. You can see like 4 in that pane on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
They could slim it down a little bit, couldn't they?
But then you have saved. So without having to create an account, because I've got a Google account, I'm logged in, I've already got the ability to save jobs. I've got the ability to create alerts for new jobs that match my search. They will make suggestions based on different levels of seniority, distance, commuting distance, local
Seems like
cities.
Google are just making the same interface over and over again for any taxonomy, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
Shots about hotels, and already got flights, and it's not a million miles away from the maps interface either.
I think a lot of time
filter and refine, isn't it?
they're trying to acquire data as well. They'll be using so much data to back this and to probably propel the next product that they introduce.
Yeah.
I always think that when they're doing something, or they're doing a partnership like this with people, what insights are they trying to gather, what kind of data are they really trying to gather behind the scenes and what they're using it for, because it works to nobody else's advantage. If anything, they're taking up real estate where PPC ads could be shown and where they could make more money. So
That's what it will become. It's like the answer boxes in organic search.
yeah, there'll probably be a higher cost, I would imagine, to participate in those kind of programs as well, like the hotels one that we've just talked about. I would have thought that the pricing will probably be higher to participate on that kind of program than it would in normal text ads. So it's a way to incrementally grow your ad revenue as well, I guess. Because when new products come out, obviously all the big advertisers want to be on it and give it a go and test it.
Well, how do you maximise your revenue when you've got an ad platform? You take the verticals that are the most expensive and you create an ad format specific to that vertical that's a better user experience than everyone else, and charge people for it. That's what they're doing. Like this thing here, typical types of pay, they're bringing in salary comparisons from 3 different really sort of relevant sources in a couple of other job sites in Glassdoor. So they're doing everything basically that everybody else is doing.
It will just turn into an ad platform. They've got to test it first, haven't they, before they roll it out and build a an integration for like AdWords or something like that. It seems that is like the basic thing in it. Let's figure out how people use it. If they use it well and it works, then let's introduce, a new campaign type in AdWords or something like that.
So Indeed have come out and said that they're refusing to share any data at all. And Indeed get about 200 million unique visits a month. So
I wonder how quickly that on those dive if Google put pressure on.
Yeah, I think so. Google will just buy Indeed. So yeah.
The last thing I want to talk about is Google's huge fine that the EU slapped on them. So it equates to $5 billion. It's a lot of money.
You sound like an evil genius.
$5 billion.
Obviously, in terms of Google's wealth, it's not a great deal, considering they've supposedly got $100 million just sat aside, probably waiting to pay fines with. But yeah, it's a lot of money. And basically they've said that they've acted illegally in 3 different ways, so we're just going to focus on one really, which is software, which is Google Search and Chrome. So they basically kicked off a fuss about them pre-installing this on devices and forcing manufacturers to do that. So what's going to happen here, in my opinion, is, I don't know if you remember a few years ago on Windows, when you installed Windows, you got asked for a browser choice, and this is because the same sort of ruling got applied to Microsoft in that they were shoving Internet Explorer on everyone. And you got this really awful nag when you first started Windows. It said, right, you can choose Firefox, Opera, Internet Explorer or Chrome, and then it sort of made out as if like it was a level playing field. You could pick what you wanted. Do you remember it? It looked awful, didn't it? Yeah. It looked like a virus spam message type thing.
Yeah.
So we're getting into territory like that, I think, which is a massive shame, because the difference here, in my opinion, is that Windows is obviously a paid-for licensed piece of software. Android, in this instance, is free. So manufacturers basically don't have to develop any software anymore. They can just shove Android on there, obviously make sure the drivers and stuff are sorted in terms of the hardware they've put in the device. But other than that, they don't have to do anything. And obviously it's still a user's choice on which phone they pick and which software comes with what phone. So I don't really understand how Apple haven't been caught guilty of the same rule, considering if you want a Apple device, not only are you forced to use software, but obviously you've got Safari installed by default, haven't you? So I don't really know how this...
Is Apple Bing though?
No, I think it's back. It went Bing or something, or Firefox did it for a bit, and then it went back to Google, and Google paid them loads of money. That's one of the other rulings in here, that Google have been bunging people money to do it, but that's a different kind of fish, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure it's been done 1,000 times before though, as well.
$5 billion's not that. I know it sounds a lot and it is a lot of money, but it's not a lot to Google, is it? Let's be honest.
But it's an astronomical amount of money. When's anyone ever been fined that much money ever in the history of the world? It's a lot of money. And essentially, yeah, it's going to lead, in my opinion, it's free software. I mean, what's happened with Android is obviously you've got 2 versions. You've got Android Open Source Project, which doesn't come with Play Store or any Google apps pre-installed. And then you've got the Android version that comes with all that. And obviously no one wants them without Play Store, so manufacturers just rule out AOSP straight away, because it's pretty much useless as a consumer without access to the app stores. So essentially that's one solution, just don't install that version, just install the other version and then deal with your own app store. And this is what Amazon have done on the Fire OS. That's essentially a forked version of ASOP, and that's why it's got the Fire Store, whatever they call it.
It depends how heavy-handed Google have been with the manufacturers, doesn't it? It's like the choice is technically there, but I bet there'll have been some...
That's the other side of the coin. There is realistically no other choices. If you're a smartphone manufacturer now and you're not called Apple, then what are you going to put on it other than Android? Aside from forking it and making your own like Amazon did. Look at how much resource Amazon have got. They can go and make anything they wanted, but they chose to go with ASOP and make their own marketplace, etc. But yeah, we're going to
probably made more than $5 billion back in just usage. Again, since then, it's probably done the job on it, although it is a bit of a setback with that $5 billion. I bet they've made more by doing that.
Well, by shoving Google search on Gmail. Yeah, probably. But I mean, if you're using this software, I think Google have sort of got a right to sort of promote their own stuff, don't you think? Their own services.
Well, I just think it's been blown out of proportion, hasn't it, really? Yeah. People just need to fucking accept it, don't they? It's Google.
Yeah, it's interesting reading though that Russia have already clamped down on this, and if you install Android in Russia, or I'm not sure if it applies to Chrome or Android as a whole, you get a browser choice when you launch it. So there's Yandex and that's Mail.ru, which are obviously Russian products. But might be wrong here, but I think Russia's similar to China in that they have a hand in some of these software projects. So obviously the government are going to want their stuff in there.
I think Yandex is wound into the government stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, you're going to get a little bit of corruption there. Whereas I don't think in the UK or EU in general, they've really got a software initiative they necessarily want to push. But then you're obviously going to get another problem here. If you've got a pop-up when you launch your new Android phone, it says, do you want Chrome or Opera or whatever? Who decides which apps go in there? Do they have to put Safari in there? Do they have to put Bing in there, whatever, or in Explorer or Edge, whatever you call it now?
Where does the money go?
5 billion?
Yeah,
good point.
If they get fined that and pay it, who are they paying?
They've already announced they're going to pay.
Where does it go?
They've been drawn out for years. They're just still appealing that shopping.
Yeah, they want for
2 billion. That was 3 years ago, something. They're still appealing that now for promoting their own products, wasn't it, in shopping?
Yeah. It's a drop in the ocean for those guys, isn't it? Like I say, they probably account for that kind of thing coming up.
That money's probably set aside just for it.
The reward is higher than the risk in it, really.
Well, didn't you read that it were 2 weeks operating?
Yeah, I think I read that.
To get 5 billion back.
14 days to pay off the 5 billion.
Scandalous.
Yeah, it's not about the relation to the business, in my opinion. I mean, that's where they've obviously plucked the number for the fine from, but as a figure to fine a company, it's a lot.
I need to know what's
They keep
happening
doing
with
things like this, though, don't they? The fines must not be having that much of an impact on them for them to say, right, we need to stop risking doing stuff like this that's a little bit,
In my eyes, though, I don't think they've done it wrong.
I'm on Google's side a little bit. I think that if you're giving away software, which they are, then you've really got that. It's your opportunity there to lock someone into your software if you're promoting it.
It's free.
Yeah, and there is Android open source projects, which you mentioned, which manufacturers are more than capable of taking instead of the one with Google that's baked in. Obviously, they don't want to. It's a worse experience for their consumers. Yeah, but I think the reason why Google are getting penalised with this and not Apple is because the market share. Obviously, Google's market share is astronomical compared to Apple. Overall, obviously, if you look down High Street, there's a lot of people with iPhones, but I think the actual market share percentage is something like 74%, 75%.
No, it's down to Android being better than iOS, though.
Yeah, and it's also available on more manufacturers than not just one.
Well, there's that as well, yeah. But if Apple made... No, it won't work. I was going to say, if Apple made theirs open source, it might change things, but it's an inferior product, so it probably wouldn't.
It's a strange one. But yeah, essentially the manufacturers, from their point of view, have no choice. If it's not Android they're going to put on the device, then what the hell are you going to do? People have tried inventing new ones for years and just give up. Microsoft.
It's going to really piss me off if, when I get another Android phone, a notification comes up every time and wants me to verify which Google products I want installed by default. That'll really
just say, are you sure you want Chrome or do you want one of these alternatives?
No.
Same with Gmail and same with Google Search, more likely. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Windows doesn't do this anymore. It used to. They just stopped complying with their ruling and the fine that they received and then just go back to normal, I don't know. I'm pretty sure now on Windows you just get Edge and that's it. There's no option.
You have to install it, like Chrome,
off
your own back if you want it.
Offer you it, does it, I don't think.
No.
But yeah, you get other problems there and which ones get offered, and stuff like that. So it's not a...
Yeah, how much are those people bunging the manufacturers?
Yeah, it is.
I bet there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. So much corruption, so many deals that are going on.
So it all comes back to monopoly, though, doesn't it? As soon as you get a big enough market share, then some regulator somewhere is going to be annoyed about it and just find something to kick off a fuss about. Yeah. So it's all good. Competition's all good, but yeah, it's not it's hard to put it on the provider of the software that they're monopolising it, in my opinion. If they're providing as good an experience as they can, then it's especially if it's free software, it's in their interest to protect it. You're not going to see them offer alternatives unless they get fined loads of money.
Yeah, everybody's eyes are on them though, aren't they? Because they're the leads in it. Everybody's going to try and bring them down. All the competition's certainly going to be watching them.
Yeah.
Pretty much angling on everything they do.
It's going to happen forevermore, especially in tech world. You're not going to buy, I don't know, a fitness tracker and it go, do you want this to log to Garmin or Fitbit? It's like, no, Fitbit made the device, they're going to want it to log back to them. They don't want to offer you an alternative, do they? They want it on theirs. This is just the same concept, just at a grander scale, but as soon as it gets to billions and billions of pounds of revenue, then people get annoyed, don't they?
It upsets me that Google can afford to pay it without even really feeling it.
Accountant will be worried for about 10 minutes and then they'll go back to playing ping pong.
These giants are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, though, aren't they?
Well,
I wonder if it will ever end. You know, like Facebook's been about for like 15 years or something now, hasn't it? It's like when it first came out, I would have imagined give it 3 or 4 years and there'd be something new to replace it. But these giants are now just getting bigger out there. Doesn't seem to be anything that's getting in the way.
Yeah, that's what monopoly is all about, isn't it? Some people get annoyed.
Look at Jeff.
Bezos.
150 billion net worth.
Yes,
That's one man.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
That's that. Alright, that's been episode 14 of Industry Spotlight. We've covered Google, hotel ads, Instagram, blue ticks, Google, job search, and also Google's fine, and then a bit about lemons. That's it. We're running out of topics. So comment if you've got any more. That's it. Cheers, bye. Last topic's lemons.
You're a fucking lemon.
I didn't know this. This was a good point. But it's not. It's a man-made fruit. It's a cross between two different fruits.
It might have been on QI.
Were they originally like an orange or something?
It's a hybrid between a bitter orange and a citron.
Yeah.
So if it weren't for humans,
Gin and tonics had been exist.
yeah, well, you could put cucumber in it if you had a Hendrix or something.
You know that carrots were originally purple?
Yeah, isn't that like tomatoes are green?
Tomatoes are green to begin with.
Spiraling out of control now.
Don't they never get red?